Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Beatrice Mieska. I'm your chairperson today. Welcome to the East Birmingham Inclusive Growth Strategy project. Today is our second presentation. I am also a member of the People for Public Services Citizen Involvement Team. I'm the chairperson of an organization called Inclusive Life Project, and part of this project because I'm one of the East Birmingham citizen as well. Welcome. Today we're going to be presenting you again our next. We want you to get involved with our project. With this project, it's not just about Birmingham Council to work alongside. We want you, citizens, people, local community, businesses, everyone to get involved because we feel like East Birmingham had a lot to offer in terms of education, health. We want your project. We want to hear from you. Anything you have in like a project to help us develop our East Birmingham place. We are here waiting to hear from you. And we have an amazing team behind us who are there to support you through the project, to listen to your view, to work toward this project. It's not just one goal project. It's not we want people to engage. We want citizens of East Birmingham to be there, to feel safe, to participate in this project. Anyone who have idea of the project, they wanted to discuss with us, you know what to do. We have people there waiting, the team behind working so hard to help us East Birmingham citizens to develop the area. Let me introduce you to the team behind. This is the group of the amazing people who've been working tremendously very hard to empower all of you. You are welcome. This is the citizen involvement team. Let me take you forward to what we are doing and the work we've been doing since 2 years. And then we will go through some presentation. Our presentation, it starts since last night. The presentation went well. And then now this is the organizing team, the citizen involvement team, which I am part of. You can easily recognize me, my picture there. And a wonderful group, people who work tremendously very hard. People from East Birmingham, let's work together. Let me introduce you now to our tremendous Simon to take you over to this presentation. Simon, over to you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you very, very much. And I just want to say it is a real pleasure to work with the citizens of Birmingham on this project. So I'm part of what is called the Citizen Involvement Team. And our role is to empower you as the citizens of Birmingham to get involved in the organisation, in the development of services that you receive. We do a lot of work with adult social care. And a majority of the people you can see here have been part of that. We're really, really pleased and really proud to be now involved with James, who's going to be speaking today, and Mark, who spoke last night, from the planning team, to really get you to engage in what I think can be a tremendously empowering project to develop East Birmingham and to do what we call co-production. And that is really about where we can try and find meaningful equal partnership as citizens of Birmingham and officers and businesses, so we can develop an East Birmingham that we really want. So what I'm going to do is quickly just explain how today is going to run. Now I've given you the kind of big up of who we are. So why are we using this virtual forum? Obviously, right now, I mean, I think the news has just come out now that Birmingham, in case you didn't know, has gone into tier 3. So we are in a lockdown, and therefore it's really important for us as an authority to protect you, to protect you from the spread of COVID-19. So this forum, although limited, does give us an opportunity to share information in a safe environment. Now, it is a new format. Most of the time, the council and James will talk about this as well. We've been able to come face to face and talk with you. That's just not viable right now. What we do realise is that creates problems and barriers for us to discuss, because it does mean that if you're not digitally included, so if you don't have the internet or you don't have the means to connect to the internet, either technology wise, then at the minute it's very, very difficult for us to communicate with you. We are looking to expand our inclusion and look how we can get more people signed up to the internet, to get them equipment, etc. Because what we do want to do is update you. The world has changed. It doesn't stand still, and it's ever changing. So the way that we're working, it will change continuously. So what we're looking for also today is obviously feedback on what James is going to be speaking about, but also if you think of other ways that we could communicate with you, please, put it into the chat, which I'm just going to bring up now. So your screen should look something like what I've now put up. You'll have, so this is from, as Beatrice has mentioned, a screen from the People for Public Services Forum that took place in August. There in the centre there, you'll see the little video. So all the way through, you'll see whoever's speaking, and you'll see the presentation running. But the most important part for you, in many ways, is the red box. That is the question and answer box. And what happens is you can type in there your name, or you can do this anonymously. Any question, there are no wrong questions in this. Any question that you want answering, we'll hopefully be able to answer today. If we can't, we will come back. The meeting is recorded. We get a transcript of all of the questions, so everything will be answered. Pop that in there, and what will happen is we've got 2 pauses in the presentation, which I will then read out the questions to James. His colleague Mark is also on the line if there is something that Mark wants to add, so we will change and bring that in. But that's the kind of key part for you. Just basically type in there any question you've got, and I will read them out in due course. But without further ado, I'm going to now move this on to the main event. I'm going to introduce you to James. I'm just going to bring James in live and move the next slide on. 1 second, James. So over to you, James.
Well, thank you very much, Simon, for those, well, for the introduction. And Beatrice, thank you very much for those really inspirational words at the beginning of the presentation. I have to say, it's really strange not being in a room and speaking with everyone today. We live in strange times, and as Simon mentioned, really, we can't all be in the same room. But thank you all for joining, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So by all means, please put them in the chat. And whatever you think, no matter sort of what type of question, pop it in there, and I'll do my very best to give a half decent answer. I have to say that interesting as well. You don't just get a presentation this morning. We've had a news update as well. So hopefully we've tried to cover all angles there. But I'll start with the presentation. We've got, well, the East Birmingham Inclusive Growth Strategy. We've set the project up really because East Birmingham traditionally has not really received the attention that other parts of Birmingham have received. And when I tend to speak with people about East Birmingham, certainly people who don't live in the area, we tend to get two responses. The first response is that no one really knows what East Birmingham is, and certainly not what's in East Birmingham. So that's the first situation. And the second is that a lot of people, when they say, you know, do you work in East Birmingham, they sort of go, oh, you know, I don't go to East Birmingham. It's a bit, you know, no, I stay away from East Birmingham. I haven't heard good things. And unfortunately, that's not the reality at all of the situation. There's, as we'll cover in the presentation, East Birmingham's got so many strengths. Yes, there are issues, and we would be, you know, not being truthful if we didn't admit there were. But at the same time, there's lots of opportunities and a fantastic community in East Birmingham. So I think that's, before I start, really, that's the first main thing to say, is that we're starting off from a positive position, and we're looking to work with everyone in East Birmingham to make the area even better going forward. But the first thing is that it is a big area, and we looked at ways to try and divide East Birmingham into more manageable sections, and I'm very happy to cover that in more detail in any questions, or, you know, slightly later on in the presentation. But the areas that we have, the first one we have is, we've called it the Northern Industrial Corridor. So that's where, if you're driving out from the city centre, it's generally all the route along the Heartland Spine Road. So it stretches from Nechells near the city centre, right through to the large area by Costco at the top of Saltley, through to the Fort Shopping Park, Bromford Bridge, and then out towards Jaguar and Castle Vale. Generally, it's there's a lot of industry there, lots of jobs and employers, but there's also housing as well. There's quite a few housing estates at Nechells and certainly at Castle Vale. The next area we have is, it mirrors the area in the north there, but it's to the south of East Birmingham, and that's generally the area along the Coventry Road bypass. So if you're travelling out from the city centre out towards the airport, it's generally speaking, it's the area on the right hand side of the bypass, which is generally Tyseley, out towards we've got the Tyseley incinerator site, the Tyseley Railway Museum. There's lots of factories there, but again, mixed in with those industrial sites, there's also streets of houses, generally terraced houses, but there are quite a large number of residents who live in the area, not to be forgotten about. The next area that we have is what we've termed Inner East Birmingham, and that's really the area stretching from the north. It goes from Ward End down to Alum Rock, Bordersley Green, and through to Small Heath. It's largely an area of 19th century terraced housing. It has a big population. There's lots of shops, local facilities, and the area does tend to have, it's a largely South Asian population, but there's also lots of different communities that have moved into the area as well, communities from Africa, Eastern European communities, and of course the slightly more established Irish, and there's also white British communities there as well. We have Middle East Birmingham, which is, if anyone's a public transport user, it's the area that stretches along the number 11 outer circle bus route. So from the north, it stretches from Bromford Bridge and the Bromford Estate through to Stetchford. We've got Washwood Heath, the Fox and Goose Shopping Centre, through to Stetchford, and then it goes to the Yew Tree at Yardley, and probably all the way down to the Swan Shopping Centre near the Coventry Road. And last but certainly not least, we also have Outer East Birmingham, and that's generally the area around Shard End in the north and Hodge Hill, right through to Glebe Farm and Tarcross, and then that stretches all the way down to the Coventry Road at Sheldon and out towards the airport. It's largely an area with very spacious, predominantly 1930s and post-war housing, lots of green space, lots of trees, and certainly a big population. And that will lead me on to my next slide. I've covered a little bit about this already, but I think it's probably really important to just briefly cover again. We're starting from a positive point. East Birmingham has lots of opportunities, but there are some issues in the area that we need to work with the community to address and help the area move forward. So we've got, I mean, certainly with people can often be, 3 times more likely to be admitted to hospital. We have, as a rule, 35%. There's a 35% worklessness rate in East Birmingham as a whole, which is slightly higher, as you can see from the presentation. It's slightly higher than the national average and even the Birmingham average at 31%. So we're looking to see how we can help the community with that, and also the life expectancy is slightly higher in other parts of the city as well. There's a quite startling statistic where there's a 10 years life expectancy difference between the Heartlands ward, that's near the Heartlands Hospital, and the Four Oaks ward in Sutton Coldfield. So we want to look at ways to be able to address those types of issues. Again, happy to answer any questions on that later on. But as I say, we've picked East Birmingham because yes, there are those issues, but on the flip side of that, there's a fantastic opportunity to really work with the community going forward and help East Birmingham to realise its potential. The images on the screen, as you'll see at the moment, they really show some of the existing opportunities and future plans as well. So we have everything there from the transport infrastructure. There's in parts there's a good transport infrastructure in East Birmingham, but there are also we've got a fantastic community. The photo in the top right has shopkeepers in Allen Rock Road, which is a fantastic local centre, specialising in Asian fashions and foods, which is a real asset to East Birmingham. But we've got lots of green spaces, lots of interesting buildings, good quality housing projects that are being developed, and not to mention, not to forget the HS2 line, and also the Sprint buses as well, and the Metro. So that leads me on now to my next slide, and it's really to cover a little bit more about why we've chosen East Birmingham to set up this project. And we started the project in February of this year, so we had a launch event, and we've been really consulting and engaging. Consulting is a very clinical word. We've been engaging with the community since that time in various ways, especially during the lockdown, and really just going out and asking people, and saying, what can we learn about what's going on at the moment, and how can we really look at projects and know how we can work with the community to develop those projects going forward. So we've started that process, and that will be ongoing for the foreseeable future, for however long the project lasts. The strategy itself, which is, the strategy really is just the document. It's the means to an end for the larger project. So the project covers 20 local council wards, and there's 28 councillors in total throughout those wards. We've got a population in East Birmingham of 230,000 people. So when you can compare it to a city, the population in East Birmingham is roughly the same as the population of Derby. So it's a big area with a huge population. And of course, East Birmingham isn't just an area on its own. We can't look at East Birmingham just in isolation. It's part of a wider area, and certainly next door to East Birmingham, we've got Solihull. So as anyone, if you know the area, the border between East Birmingham and North Solihull near Chelmsley Wood, I mean, it's certainly a border only in administrative terms. And the only reason really a lot of people, you've crossed the border is that the wheelie bins change, and Solihull have very nice green street signs, and that's when you've crossed the border. So we've been working really closely together with Solihull Borough Council. There's ourselves in Birmingham, and between the two councils, we've also been working really closely with the West Midlands Combined Authority to make sure that East Birmingham sits in a growth corridor, in a growth area between the city centre right out to the airport and the National Exhibition Centre. And I suppose really I should say that alongside the work that we're doing, we have the strategy in itself, and the project is for the next 20 years. So we've got projects at different time stages, short projects within the next 1 year or so, slightly longer projects probably that we're hoping to deliver within the next 5 to 10 years, and then those really long-term infrastructure projects that might be 10, 15 years down the road. But what we want to make certain is that there's been a lot of talk about different projects in East Birmingham in the past, and the last thing we want to do is just be seen to be speaking about things that might be 10 years away, which is really of no interest to anyone. With this project, we want to make sure that we've actually got projects and things that we can deliver for certainly within the next 1 year. And a lot of the projects that are short term, we've actually changed our focus slightly to helping the community with the COVID-19 situation, and I can talk about that in a little bit more detail in a short while. So really, that's I've talked a lot there, gave an introduction, but importantly, I'm sure that everyone's asking, what are we going to do? Because it's fine talking, but actions speak louder than words. So we're looking at realistic proposals now going forward. So as I'd mentioned, really, the first thing is we're getting East Birmingham to have the attention it deserves. And by doing that, the first part of it has been, we've been doing it for a year now, is that we've just been going out, listening to organisations. I've been meeting with residents in streets, in local parks, meeting with all sorts of community groups, and just learning what's happening on the ground and what people need. We're certainly working very closely with the local community. This isn't a situation where it's the council working on our own and the community, just being sort of having things done to them, really. That's not what we're doing at all. Certainly we want to link with that is to build stronger links with the community and the council. And I think it's probably fair to say that over the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of those links that did exist between the community and the local and the council have been certainly weakened, if not broken completely. There's a lot of issues for that, a lot of different reasons. But the main thing to say is that with this project, we're looking to rebuild those links and strengthen them again. Alongside that, we want to certainly work with everyone to help improve local services, and that's local services across the board, which I can explain in a short while. And again, it's an issue that often gets raised a lot with everyone in East Birmingham. It's working with organisations across the board to say, how can we improve connectivity? And there's two parts to that. It's improving the connectivity within East Birmingham, but also the links between the area and other areas of the city and the wider region. And I mean, I'm conscious that I've covered quite a lot there already. So I wonder if it's just a good time now to take a short pause. And I haven't seen any questions. I'm not sure if we've had any yet, but I'm very happy to answer any.
We had greetings from Sadiq, which is very nice. Thank you, Sadiq. So really, it's over to you. We have James will continue and put more structure to the presentation, but just to really give you that background, and if there was any questions on the background, etc., now is the time to put any questions that you've got on the first part, or any questions in general. Just type into the Q&A box, and what happens is I get to see them, and I will publish them to James, and I'll read them out for anybody who has visual impairment, etc. So everyone gets to hear what somebody's asking. I mean, if nobody's got anything at this particular time, that's not a problem. Please just feel free to type in any questions at any point that you wish. It might be to the next part where James comes into some of the nitty-gritty that you might start wanting to populate the question. So at any point, please feel free to pop in there. So I'll continue, James, because nobody's put anything in at the moment. So back over to you, James.
Okay. Thanks, Simon. I suppose really this is the most important part of the presentation now, and it's really what we're going to do, what we're proposing. So I've gave a bit of an introduction on the background, and this section now is how we're going to move forward. A lot of the issues and opportunities in East Birmingham are very complex, and they cover 4 key areas. So I think what we've tried to do is we've tried to look at all the different situations across East Birmingham, all the different opportunities, and split them into 4 distinct parts. So the first one we have is education, skills and employment. Then we have transport and infrastructure, health and well-being, and local centres and green spaces. So starting with education, skills and employment, the first thing to probably mention on this is that one project or one situation that we're looking to work with the community on, generally they don't fall into one of these categories alone. And what's tended to happen in the past is that sometimes, because a department or an organisation works and specialises within one area, the focus is on that area, and the project gets defined as a employment, skills and education project. But a lot of parts of that project, and to make that project successful, we also need to look at health and well-being and local centres as part of that work. So we have split everything into the 4 categories, but a lot of the projects that we're looking to work on cut across all of those 4 categories. But certainly for education, skills and employment, it goes without saying really that we want to improve education, skills and employment opportunities for everyone, and that's from people from a very young age at nursery school education right through for school age, university, and then people looking at jobs and even further education. A link with that is to help provide and encourage inward investment into East Birmingham. As I mentioned earlier, there's lots of opportunities. East Birmingham's a great area, but a lot of people outside East Birmingham don't seem to appreciate what exists there. And it's really a case that we need to attract investors, attract business, education, and more money as well to the area. We've got, we're looking at certainly having a broader range of employment and skills opportunities for everyone locally. And there's lots of ways we can do that. And also on my next point is, alongside having opportunities that are within East Birmingham, we also need to make sure that everyone in East Birmingham, that everyone's linked to good opportunities outside the area as well, because it might be a case that someone lives in East Birmingham but has a really good job opportunity outside the area, and it's how we work to make sure that's as easy as possible. Which very nicely leads on to the second part of that, which is transport and infrastructure. And if you're like me, who I don't drive, certainly we rely on buses, trains, walking, and any forms of public transport to get around and get to work and lead our lives. So I think there's certainly a big part where we need to say we need to improve connectivity everywhere. That's vital. We've as part of that, we have the Midland Metro. The new route is proposed to go across East Birmingham, through Bordesley Green, through Stetchford and out to the airport. But we've also got HS2 as well, which is being developed at the moment, and that cuts across the northern part of the area through Bromford and Castle Vale. Certainly in the slightly shorter term, there's 2 new sprint bus routes that are going to be created. One along the A45 Coventry Road in the south, so that'll go out all along the Coventry Road to the airport and towards Solihull. And then there's also one in the north as well, which goes along the A38 Tyburn Road and joins up with Sutton Coldfield. We've got 3 local rail lines that go through East Birmingham, and with those rail lines, we're looking to see how we can improve the stations and improve the services and connectivity around those. So that's really important. And also, as probably most public transport users in East Birmingham use the bus, we're looking to work with our local bus providers to see how we can improve services, not just services that go from East Birmingham into the city centre, but also the services that link different parts of East Birmingham to each other. Health and well-being. I mean, if at the end of the day, if people aren't healthy and there's not, if people are feeling healthy and they feel that their well-being's been neglected, then that's not good for helping to really resolve and improve any other areas of life. So this is vital that we can work with the community and help with this. And that's I mean, we're looking to really create closer links with the local healthcare providers. So that's everyone from local GPs right through to the larger hospitals such as Heartlands Hospital. Now, over the last few years, a lot of there's been a big emphasis on initiatives such as social prescribing, and we're really keen on this as part of the project. And it'd certainly be really interesting to hear your views on this. But really, just to explain, social prescribing is where a well, sorry, I'll go back on that a second. We're looking at different initiatives. One of those is social prescribing. And really, social prescribing is where a patient goes to see the doctor, and instead of receiving a medical prescription, they receive an activity. So I know it wouldn't work for really serious illnesses, because then you do need medical intervention. But certainly for things, situations, maybe where someone's feeling, say, a little bit down, a little bit isolated. There's lots of it at the moment. But if someone goes to the doctor and says, I'm feeling quite lonely, the doctor can write them a prescription, giving them, recommending a local walking group or a local exercise and fitness class. And that's rather than giving the person, antidepressant drugs, which can be very harmful. So it's really looking at those sort of approaches going forward. I think we're looking to, certainly if we've got more people out and about, and especially with the coronavirus situation, having a good local environment, good local green spaces is essential. So we want to help certainly with that. And also, I mean, it goes without saying that at the moment, a lot of our emphasis, especially with health and well-being, certainly in the short term, is around helping people recover from the current COVID-19 situation. It's probably fair to say that it's having a big effect on East Birmingham, maybe even slightly more than more parts of the other parts of the country. And we're really looking to find out ways to see how we can work with the community to really get over this crisis. And I suppose last but certainly not least, we've got some great organisations in the area who are developing food projects, and we're looking to really work with everyone to look at a healthy food economy, which is where we can look at growing food, education around food, and really promoting a much healthier lifestyle and sustainable food sources. And then the fourth of our four key areas that we're covering are local centres and green spaces. The map that you can see on the presentation, it lists the big local centres. So the white dots there are all the slightly larger shopping areas, and then we have the green sort of marks on there are the local green spaces, which are parks and recreation grounds. As you can see, we've got a lot of them, lots of local centres. The smaller shopping parades we haven't put on the map because there's too many of them to list. But as you can see, there's big swathes of green space, and the area that goes from the sort of bottom left to the top right of the map is the Coal Valley, which is a continuous piece of parkland that follows the whole river right across the area. So again, on this, we're looking to work fully with the community to develop and improve these green spaces and local centres. We want local centres to be hubs of the local community, and we're really looking at interesting, new and innovative ways to be able to help adapt our local centres to the changing world. And I suppose also linked to that as well is that it's very underappreciated at the minute, but East Birmingham has a lot of very rich heritage, and that's partly rich heritage around its buildings. There are lots of old, listed buildings in the area that are important. We've got a conservation area at Yardley, with some of the buildings dating to the 14th century. But also there's a very rich community history in East Birmingham, and that varies across different communities. So you've got lots of different community histories. And just taking the Allen Rock Road as an example, when I've chatted with a lot of the shopkeepers in the high street, There's so many different interesting stories about how people have set up the business. Some businesses that have been there for 40 years, and how people moved to Britain, set up their businesses, and really, you know, help the community to grow. And there are some amazing histories there, and as I say, right across the community, across all the different community groups. And it's really important that we make sure that that history is recognised alongside all our physical history and our physical work around parks and green spaces more widely. And that leads me on to the final slide. Here we are. And I suppose really it's now, where do we go from here? So we're in a strong position now. How do we take things forward? As I've mentioned, the first thing is we've been out getting feedback from everyone, and we're starting to get an understanding now of what's happening on the ground, what's happening at the moment, and how we can work with everyone going forward. We have we will be using the feedback that we've received to make changes to our draft policy document, and that will go to our cabinet in February next year, and we'll make changes accordingly. But to be honest, that's just what's on paper. The main and certainly the most important parts of the project is really we're looking to just have an ongoing relationship with the local community, and we're looking at working together on projects going forward. So it'll be a constant, you know, we won't just be here today, gone tomorrow. We will honestly be working alongside the community on every step of the way on these different projects. And if anyone has any ideas, you know, we're more than happy to look at those and work with everyone to develop them. We're hopefully, as I've mentioned, we want the first projects to be delivered by spring of 2021. I'm hoping, and I maybe shouldn't say this, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed, there might be 1 or 2 projects that we can maybe develop even sooner than that. So please watch this space. And again, it's really important that I think for certainly within the next year, over the next weeks, months and next year ahead, that we're just helping everyone get through the current pandemic situation. And of course, you know, how can everyone get involved? You can by all means call and speak to myself, Mark, and the team at any time, and I think Simon will share all the details of how you can get in contact. We're going to be co-working on projects, and you'll certainly see a lot of myself, Mark, and the team in the area. But also, if there are any opportunities, or you think that, you know, you've got an idea of a project, or there's something you want to raise with us, then please do get in contact, and we'd be delighted to come and visit, and you know, where it's safe to do so, we can have a meeting and just really discuss things. So I think I've probably talked far long enough now. You'll be fed up of hearing my voice, but if anyone has any questions, please just let me know, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, James. Thank you very much. I mean, that was really useful for hopefully to you know, pique interest and get people who want to get involved. And obviously what we will do is send out, after this, we'll send out a link to the recording of this video and questions. But we do have a few questions to start with to hopefully get the ball rolling. Although I think this may have been answered, Arif asks, how long will the project last?
Well, what we're hoping for, Arif, is I mean, officially it's a 20-year plan, so it's really now certainly for the next 20 years, but we haven't put really an end date on the project, because I think it's very organic, And unlike a lot of planning projects that we've had to date, where there's very fixed timescales and very rigid requirements on the project, we're looking to do things completely differently with this. So we're hoping that really it's an ongoing project for the next 20 years. And there might be times when, you know, things are really busy and we're working on lots of different projects, and then you might get slightly there might be times over the years when you know, we change direction slightly and work in a slightly different way. It's very much an ongoing fluid situation, but I think the main thing to say is that we're in this you know, we're working with everyone for the foreseeable future. We're not just going to be here today and disappear tomorrow.
So we've got a question from Sadiq next, and it's two parts, but I think you've answered the first part, but actually really interesting second part. James, what is your plan, which I think hopefully the presentation has done, but where are you going to start from, which I think is a fantastic question. So thank you for that.
So it's a good question, Sadiq. Hopefully we've already started on this, and the main starting point was that we've actually been meeting with lots of different community groups and residents in streets all across East Birmingham to really just find out what everyone wants, what's happening at the moment, what everyone wants, and what people need going forward. And sometimes, as has happened in the past, that isn't always done, and certainly not done enough as it should be. And it's quite easy sometimes for, I think, for anyone really to, you know, it's easy to sit in the office and look at maps and say, oh, well, you know, point to the map and say, this will work for the community here, and we'll put one of these here and have a new road here. But unless you go out and speak with people, speak with the community in different areas of East Birmingham, we're not going to know what people want. So I think that's, hopefully we've already started this, but that's the first thing, is really just to be there to listen and understand.
So the next question we've got from Tim. East Birmingham is, as you say, not promoting enough. How do you think HS2 project could assist in outing the area on the map? But also please outline the metro development and how this will enhance the area.
Well, good question, Tim. I think the two parts to that question. The first one with HS2, and there's a second part with the metro. The HS2 situation is that, I mean, it is, well, we all know, it's a big infrastructure project, and it will affect a lot of people across certainly the northern part of East Birmingham and the wider area as well. We've got to make sure that, I mean, personally speaking, I think it's a really positive project, that you know, anything that improves links between Birmingham and the wider country and the wider world is positive. But what's really important is that we've got to make sure that the project, the HS2 line, benefits the local community, because there'd be nothing worse than having a big project that cuts across, you know, a big part of the area, and yet no one who has been disrupted by the project or lives near the route benefits. And we certainly don't want HS2 to be seen as a project for the rich, or, you know, a project for people outside the area, and no one in East Birmingham benefits. So I think we've certainly been and we continue to work with HS2 around funding. So it's looking at, hopefully, you know, a lot of groups along the route can get projects funded via HS2. And then also, it's certainly in the more slightly longer term, it's really looking at ways that we can, you know, make sure that people in East Birmingham get the opportunity to use HS2, and that the line's seen as positive. I think there's probably on the latter point there, there's still some work to be done because it's really early days in the project. But certainly in the short term, we want to make sure that, you know, groups that help residents along the route are getting the funding that, you know, that they deserve. The second part of the question, Tim, I think that you asked there was around the metro and the new metro route.
Mm-hmm.
I can certainly forward any maps, and there's also a map of the proposed route in our strategy document. But just very briefly, to describe the route, we're looking for it to go. It cuts across through Bigbuff, Bordersley Green, out towards Stetchford, through Chelmsley Wood, and then out towards the central hub, the HS2 interchange near Birmingham Airport. But I'm very happy to send a strategy document across which has a map, and also you know, have a conversation outside the meeting as well.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question from Aris. How would the clean air zone in the city centre impact on this plan? And will there be a park and ride facilities, for example? I think those two are interconnected there. So, so James.
I have to be honest, on the second point around the park and ride facilities, I don't know the answer to that at the moment. It's something I will try and find out, and I can get back to you on that, Arif. Because I honestly, I'm not aware at this point in time. On the first point though, around the clean air zone, I think it's, you know, clean air is, we've got to be sort of realistic in the city centre that we do want a clean air zone and have cleaner air for everyone to breathe. The team, I think, are looking at ways to make sure that's done in the most sort of responsible way, and where we're not just sort of moving traffic to surrounding roads. So I think it's, you know, certainly with clean air, what we're looking to do is we're looking to promote better transport, better green space, more options at local areas, within local centres, so that hopefully people don't have to travel so far, maybe into the city centre, or travel around so much for work and activities. So hopefully that should cut down on traffic. And we can also look at more sustainable ways of travel as well, so more sustainable public transport. But I can, yeah, I mean, I'm happy again to have a, you know, more detailed conversation if we have your details, Arif, and I'll get some of those answers for you. Sorry, Simon, I think. Oh, you seem to have gone mute there, Simon.
Thank you. I did mute myself.
That's okay. I was wondering if it was me or my computer for a second.
So it's more around, I think, the health and well-being. I'll just publish this question. So Shada has asked about are we looking to try and, so Shada, are you going to have relaxation kind of plan, a lot of stress, etc.? So I think it is asking around, you know, that kind of more holistic approach to health and well-being, to try and promote that. What's your thoughts on that, James?
I mean, a big part of the strategy, or the wider project that we're developing, is certainly around health and well-being, and it's one of the four central themes of the project. But I think everything that we're looking to do is it ties into a more healthier and sustainable lifestyle. So certainly all the work around green spaces that we're looking to promote, you know, if we can develop what we say we will, we want healthier green spaces, better quality green spaces, better local centres, more transport options, certainly more public transport. Even with jobs and skills, we can have situations where hopefully people can have a better work-life balance, you know, with more working from home, better IT infrastructure to be able to let people do that. And then our health and wellbeing approach as well, with social prescribing and working more closely with our partners in the health sector. I think if we look at all the 4 areas that we have as key parts of the strategy and link all the projects that we're looking to develop, we want to link everything so that they cover, each project covers each of those 4 areas. Hopefully we'll be in a really strong position to have a, you know, more healthy and sustainable lifestyle for everyone. It's certainly just to really point out though, Simon, it's not a quick fix. You know, I think I'd be very foolish, and we would as a team, to say that we're not going to be able to turn around the current situation overnight. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, but that's not to say that it, you know, we can't do it.
No, absolutely, and Shada's offered her help in that. I know Shada does a lot of work within the community, etc., in the way that Beatrice does. So, you know, that would be a fantastic thing to get, you know, local people involved. I've just had another, so Shada's just confirmed, she's just put yes, that she wants to help. So we've got no other questions at the moment. I'm just going to make myself live, so hopefully you'll now see me. So really the next steps of this is a continued conversation. What I will do is I will send out the recording of James's presentation today, along with the presentation. We'll have the excuse me, sorry, it's a bit of a frog in my throat there. We will have other meetings that were coming up, but as James has already said and Mark last night, we are really open to meeting with you safely via this medium, and to have individual conversations, to discuss projects, to really move things forward. And it's a real massive opportunity, because it's for us as a team, and the citizen involvement team. You know, it's been really great to have people, you know, involved in adult social care and see real change. So actually to have something where it is planning, you know, we've just got one through. I'm not, I think what we've got is a little bit of confusion about how where you put your name in. So it's for you, James, so I'll bring you back. How will these participatory stages, listening and working together in the community, happen? So I don't know who asked that. I hadn't seen that question, so I'm going to publish that now. So apologies that it wasn't published earlier. But I think hopefully I've just kind of just answered that. One of the things is that we will continue to have this discussion, won't we, James, where we will invite you to further meetings where we can. I know that James has a very long list of organisations that he's been and spoken to. And this is the beginning, really, of speaking to you as citizens, as individual people who live in that part of the city. So it is a beginning of more engagement. So what I will do is I will send out lots of communication details after this meeting. We will have where you can email directly to James or Mark. You'll get for our team as well, and we will continue to work with you to answer any questions, to get you involved, etc. James, I don't know if you've got anything you want to add to that. I'm just going to make you live so people can see you.
Oh, thanks, Simon. I think to be honest, the very final thing to say is that we're really not just talking for the sake of it. You know, we're not. Hopefully this doesn't just come across as empty rhetoric. We want to be working proactively and in full partnership with community groups and the wider community. So anything that we can do to be able to make that a reality and ensure that people, you know, everyone in the community sees results starting to take place. Anything we can do to make that possible, then that'll be fantastic. And as I say, if there's any opportunities, as you mentioned, Simon, you know, if there's any opportunities to come and meet with groups, residents, you know, anyone who's got a project, please just give me a call, and well, a call or an email, and I'll be very happy to discuss things in more detail. And likewise as well, I know we've had some really good questions today, and I've probably not been able to answer one or two of the questions in the fullest detail I would have liked. So I'm very happy as well to pick those up after the meeting.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, what I'm going to do is, unless there's any more questions, I'll just give it a moment. I'm going to bring in Beatrice to close today's meeting. I wanted to thank everybody for coming, but also to just say that, so when Beatrice closes this, is I met Beatrice probably about a year or so ago, and she's been centrally involved in what we call co-production and how we work. It's really important part of what we're doing. So hopefully Beatrice will kind of talk a little bit about her experience, and hopefully, because as James has said, there is a quiet or sometimes loud distrust between the council, its officers, and you as citizens, but also we're also citizens of Birmingham. We also use the same services, we use the same infrastructure. So it's really important that your voice, our voices, are joined together to help shape this. So thank you from myself. Thank you very much, James. It was a really great presentation. Thank you, Mark, for doing this last night. And if you want to get Mark's version of the presentation, it's exactly the same. It's just two different people speaking, but you're more than welcome to have it. I'm now going to bring in Beatrice to close today's meeting. Over to you, Beatrice. You're now on.
Thank you very much, Simon, and thank you, James, and the team, Mark. This presentation since yesterday is just, I don't have the word how to describe it. Personally, the meeting is not just about the office, the council, to decide or to make assumption of what we, citizens of East Birmingham, want for our area, one for our citizens, one for our people. They want to work with us together. In that sense, even myself has a share of the organization called Inclusive Life Project. It's a group, it's a small group of charity. We work together with the community. Like Jem mentioned earlier, I really appreciate it. Getting the only way to work with citizens to understand our need is to work close in collaboration with the others local group or organization. And he also highlighted the fact that if you have any question, any project, long or short project, it doesn't matter. There is no wrong and right answer to this. Then you have a link, you will have this presentation afterward. People who are engaged, people who are signed up today for this meeting, you will receive the presentation afterward. You can get in touch with them, and they will look at your project. I am also a citizen of this East Birmingham. I will encourage everyone, any businesses, organization, local group, to work together with this planning, with this project, to bring the project. We want a colorful East Birmingham. We are rich, but people not alone, people don't see it. We want people to come to invest in our area. And that's...
You're still all right, you're still live.
Thank you, Simon. And please, your voice, your project is still, we are here to support you. We are to go through with this. Jem is there, the team is there, I am a member also of the Citizen Involvement Team, and we work tremendously together with the citizen. We want citizens to get involved with any part of the work we are doing. It's not just for the council to decide what is good for the citizen. We want to hear from all of you over the Birmingham, anti-Birmingham. Come together, come to see us, bring your project, bring your idea, share with us, parent, carer, community, citizen, everyone. We are here for you. Thank you very much for this presentation, James, Mark, Simon. This is just the beginning.
Brilliant. Thank you.
There are more to come. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Beatrice, thank you.